Bros and heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and heroes. Gonna tell you about
comic books, costumes,
facts, boots,
and other stuff.
in this week's issue.
All-Star Superman, Part 1. Welcome into Bros, Foes, and Heroes. I'm Zach, joined as always by the man of might, Mr. Mike.
Those mints are like deceptively strong, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Mine's kind of getting away.
So you get
You ever have one creep away up in your...
you get like okay. So what I didn't want to do.
Before we, that is a weird way to start. So I'm Zach, he's Mike. Let me introduce us real quick, and tell us what are before we get into it. This is Bros, Foes, and Heroes. We're a comic book podcast, and I'll kind of tell you a little bit more about what we are doing starting this week. But each week we break down a comic book character or storyline or something comic related. Sometimes we dive into history, things like that. I have some ideas for things to do in the future. We've done a watch along with movies. I like to call it, I think if we do it in the future, we'll call it BFH at the movies.
I watched 10 minutes of a watch along.
That's true. Mike's there and then he bounced. But we're going to post that at some point in time. No, he did. He hated it. Well,
that's true too.
But we're a place for all of that. And we have some Superman-related stuff we're about to get into. If you've been following along, you know what today is about to start. But before we do that, Mike has a word about some mints that he'd like to talk about.
I have ordered. I've ordered these mints. Or I've ordered these candies before, made by this company.
Usually the fruit ones. Can I have another mint one, by the way?
Yeah, absolutely. Come get it. Here, let me throw it at you.
Yeah.
There you go. It worked through time and space.
It absolutely did.
These are little candies that are made.
Oh, here. So that's the wrapper.
Somewhere off
and
the
it looks
coast
like a
of
cough drop.
Nowhere. And the little fruit ones are great.
Oh, they really are.
They really are. And so
they don't taste like the fruit that they're supposed to, but they're good.
But they're good. They taste. I love the purple. It tastes just like purple. But like these are the little ones I got this time, and they're way too minty.
They do.
It's like eating toothpaste.
So it starts off fine, and then the longer it's there, it builds.
It starts to assault you
with its mintiness. But it's still it's enough to where I don't want. I want more. Obviously, I still like it.
Well, I had a tickle in my throat.
Oh, a tickle. Okay.
And so I needed something to.
No, I get that, to fix that.
Soothe the monster trying to get out.
So they're nice mints. What we have for you today is All-Star Superman. We've teased it a long time. The way we tease this is for it to kind of bookend the release of Superman.
Yep.
This comes out on Monday, July. I'm doing it in my head. Hold on, 7th, right? This releases on the 7th.
Oh, this release. I thought you were saying
this
Superman.
episode releases on the 7th for part 1. All-Star Superman for the next 2 weeks is taking over our World's Finest Wednesdays.
Yep.
So part 1 on Monday, part 2 Wednesday, part 3 next Monday, part 4 and the finale next Wednesday. And we're doing all 12 issues then of All-Star Superman, 3 issues at a time. So we're getting you ready, in a sense, for the Superman movie. And I know you're saying, Zach, but the movie comes out on Friday. Well, some people might not go see it opening weekend, or you might go see it opening weekend and be like, hey, I heard that All-Star Superman was, kind of a deal with this movie. I still want to learn about it. We're going to have it, still tell you about it. We're very much in a Superman mode right now.
The people from the Nerdist say about the new Superman.
Yeah.
I love this film.
Yeah. It seems to be everybody that I seem to follow seems to be praising it very highly. I am to the point where I think, and I have huge hopes for it. I've already kind of loved it in my head, but I'm also pulling away and trying not to watch too much anymore to try to spoil anything else. Because I'm afraid if I go in and it's not as good as I've already think that it's going to be, then it might crush me a bit, because Superman has become, very important to me in the past couple of years in a weird way. But I'm looking forward to it a lot. I think I would love to. I'm trying to go see this with Mike.
It'd be great if we can.
Either early. I might have seen this by the time we do and record part 3 and 4. I will for sure have seen this either on when it came out, or earlier in the week. But we won't we'll try to do like spoiler free stuff when we get there. Anyway,
You know who John Campea is?
name sounds familiar.
Campea?
Yeah.
Campea?
Yeah. Why?
He says, I'll read this text message that I just got. It says, shut out the noise, shut out the chatter, shut out all the distractions. This movie is incredible and you're going to love it.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I have seen him. I think he's like a YouTube film critic kind of. I've seen him do other stuff too, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, everybody seems to really love this, and that makes me happy.
Here's another one. Halfway through this movie, I realized ... That's my Superman. That's a really great review right there.
That is.
Yeah.
I do love that. But here's the thing. It didn't take all of that. I'm going to save some of these for each things that I've seen that involve the movie that are linked to the comic here. And I'm about to play one before we dive into the first three issues. But like Corn Sweat has come out and said, the actor who played David Corn Sweat. It's
got to be a different way to say his name.
I might be butchering it too. I apologize if so. Because he just seems, well, no, but he seems like such a genuinely nice, he, in the weird way that I wasn't around for this, but in the way that Christopher Reeves kind of embodied the character, that's what it feels like to me, or I assume so. Also, I started watching the very first Superman movie, and I had the realization, at least as a comic book fan that I never had before, is that when they made this, there wasn't all this like continuity to go off of.
That's right.
Like they didn't rebrand or redo the Crisis on Infinite Earths didn't happen until '86 with like John Byrne and like, all right, now the Kents are still alive. And this is what happened, and this is what.
You got to hand it to Richard Donner.
So Donner honestly just went back to all of like those Silver Age stories that we covered and pieced stuff together in bits and pieces.
He went with the tried and true Superman. That's what he went with. Just the old timey.
But I had that thought.
Updated it a little bit for the times, but that was about it.
I also feel like we're going to give a sense of that feel movie in this movie too. Yeah. I'm about. I can tell you, I'm watching it in bits and pieces. I am to the point where I'm like 30 minutes in, 40 minutes in, I guess. Clark's Paul Kent is no longer with us, and Clark's about to head to Metropolis. You've seen the first one, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's where I'm at. Anyway, let's get into...
I just can't believe how many people on Reddit say they love it. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, depends where you are. A lot of people also tend to want to just try to hate it. All the Zack Snyder people, apparently, as I've seen.
Well,
again, it is Reddit.
I did read another thing earlier that said that Cornsweet reached out to Dimple Dick. What's his name? The one that played Superman the first time? What's his?
Christopher Reeves.
No, the other one.
Brandon Routh.
No, next one.
Dean Cain.
Shit, the next one. What was the one that just played him?
Tyler Hoechlin.
What's his name?
I don't know.
Oh, Witcher.
Witcher. You're talking about Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
I know that's who you were talking about.
So he reached out to Henry Cavill and asked him for, he just wanted to make sure that he was cool with him playing Superman.
And he said, "Get off my lawn, kid."
He said, Superman as a man is not somebody who tells other people what to do. He said that you make it your own. And so I was pretty impressed by that, honestly. I thought that was kind of cool.
It is. No, I completely agree with that.
I think I was not really on Dimple Dick's side at the time, but
he was a fine. He's a
great Superman.
Not all of that is
for
him.
A dark ass Superman. He was great.
Yeah. So what we're gonna get into?
I always feel like Superman would beat up my mom, like the ones from Zack Snyder. Just see her in the wheelchair, push her over, just beat the tar out of her.
I didn't have an angsty sigh about it. Or it looked super dark while he did it. So what I have here is my Compact Comics version of All-Star Superman that I own, that I bought.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been reading. It's the full 12 issues here. So
it looks like a car manual on the front.
Oh, but that's the cover.
I know. I'm just saying, like with the black and the little logo, it looks like everything you get with your car when you buy it.
So all the Compact Comic covers look like this, but here's the thing, Mike. I don't know if you can tell, and if we have talked about this before. But it's like regular book size.
Yeah.
I bought this last year, and they have a new wave that just came out. I honestly just got the Trial of the Catwoman and Mark Waid Superman Birthright stories like this that are actually a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But same like actual book size. But here, if you open it up though, like it's still the art just kind of like shrank down.
Yeah.
But only $10. which is what is
That's
really
not a bad deal at all.
no, which is what's really great about this. Because if you were to buy All-Star Superman in regular comic form, you're probably at least $25, $30.
Sure.
So
to get them all.
yeah, so it's as a guy who loves full collected stories, I don't do too well on the issue to issue. Like I want a story to be able to read start to finish.
You want to binge?
Fantastic, exactly. So, but since you guys won't be able to read that one too well, I have.
So today is Captain Carrot and the Zoo Crew, right?
Yes, and his incredible Zoo Crew. I
go.
have it on here for us. We have All-Star Superman. Now, this is not the first All-Star title we have covered, Mike. If you'll recall, a while back we covered a little story called All-Star Batman and Robin Boy Wonder. Do you recall this?
Yeah, I do.
It's funny because right behind you, you have the Dark Knight Returns, which is probably the high point of Frank Miller's career. And All-Star Batman and Robin Boy Wonder is probably the low point, or at least one of
That's the one where like the entire room is red or whatever,
yellow.
right?
They paint themselves yellow
red,
for Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Well, no, remember Batman like abuses Robin. He like throws him in the Batcave with nothing to eat, makes him like eat mice.
Yep.
He smacks him around a bit.
Yeah, it was great.
Batman is very like kind of I don't know.
Sadistic.
He's very sadistic. He like drops F slurs and I don't remember, or no, maybe that's Black Canary. I don't know. It's bad writing it's not good. Yeah. The thing is the art through the whole thing looks great because it's Jim Lee art, but it's a terrible story. Anyway, while that was going on,
so if you enjoyed that, suck on this, suckers.
Well, that's the thing. I watched a documentary, a small little documentary kind of about the creation about this to get, to learn more information because I like to know more.
You watched a documentary about this?
About the creation of this, yes.
Huh.
Or at least like a small little, like YouTube, like feature.
Well, what we do is we cut down trees and then we process them.
So the whole idea of All-Star Comics was like, we're going to team all-star creators together to tell stories. So that's why you got, All-Star Frank Miller, who had Sin City, he has stuff.
So it's more about the writers and artists than anything else.
Exactly.
See, I did not know that.
And so that's why. Yeah. And so we're taking Grant Morrison, who's done a lot of great stuff at the time, and they've written a lot of amazing things, and pair them with Frank Quietly. I think the original idea was to have both Batman and Superman connect in this world, but you'll find very quickly that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work. So they're kind of their own separate titles. But Grant Morrison has crafted a fantastic story. They've put in so much work and they've told it seems like an ode to very much so how, remember when we read the Alan Moore, I'm asking to remember things. The Alan Moore Superman story. I know. Superman story of whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it was just like a love letter to the character of everything.
Yeah, I remember that.
Grant Morrison does the same thing in a lot of ways with All-Star Superman that we're getting into. And if you want to know, because we've done all this, if you go back and watch things, I made sure we covered who Guy Gardner was.
Yep.
We did a deep dive, or at least kind of tried to cover who the engineer, who Hawk Girl, who Mr. Terrific would be. We took a look at the comic of Lex Luthor Man of Steel that Nicholas Hoult read for inspiration for his Lex Luthor. We covered that last week. And you might ask yourself then, Zach, what is it about All-Star Superman? Well,
Zach, what is it about All-Star Superman?
Thank you for asking, Mike.
Sure.
I have a clip from the DC Studio Showcase podcast where James Gunn was a guest himself, and I'll just let him tell you instead.
Go, James.
I know you mentioned your father and stuff that made you go, this is something that I'm in now. So I'd love to know, without spoilers for the film, what was your eureka moment where you felt connected enough that you wanted the responsibility of that cape?
It was the tone of All-Star Superman, not the story, because we're not we're not adapting All-Star Superman, but the tone of All-Star Superman. That sort of, jerky Lex and the vain jerky Lex, and then the Superman that's really like just as good jaw forward, like big bulky guy. Yeah. And then the wild, 50s science fiction taken in a slightly dark, way. I mean, that to me was like, oh, that if we could do that in a movie, That would be wild. And so that was part of it.
So I just wanted to use that then kind of as a you can keep this in mind as you read through that they might have used the tone of this in a way of like that Superman here that we're about to read is kind of the same Superman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not like character-wise, story-wise, but just the tone we're getting into.
Yeah, sure.
So that is also why I really wanted to cover then All-Star Superman before the movie came out. So let's go ahead. We're going to cover issue 1 through 3 today. And on Wednesday, you can tune in for 4, 5, and 6. Issue 1 for us, Mike. I'm going to go ahead and switch sides with us so it looks like I'm looking at it. Starts, and it is a very quick just retelling of his origin. Just doomed planet,
boom,
desperate
bye.
scientist,
See ya.
last hope, kindly couple. And now it's a full spread, but we have page by page here. Boom, there's Superman. So what happens is there is Leo Quintum, is sending a mission to the sun, right? They're trying to like map the sun. And what happens is while they're there and they're
Sounds like
flying,
a bad idea.
It does, but what we've come to find out that there is a genetic creature on board that's like a just bomb.
Okay.
That has been put there by Lex Luthor, and it is being controlled remotely. We'll come to find out by Lex Luthor. But you see that nasty little creature down there?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is just like a genetic bomb in a way that is looking to sabotage this mission. So they desperately then need Superman's help, and Superman, being Superman, is going to...
Oh, Superman.
Yeah, is going to come in and save the day. I do love this kind of intro to the characters. The thing is, we'll move kind of quickly through some of these story beats. Is each issue is can be its standalone thing in a way, but it also like all connects in the overarching story. You'll see when we get to it. But Lois, you see like headline already: Superman saves first man sun mission.
Yeah.
You know, philanthropy. Yeah, Quintum, Leo Quintum, who sent like she's already typing the story. And Steve Lombard, who is the sports guy, is kind of already leaning over the desk, and he's like, Superman rescue sun mission. We don't know that yet. Like, he's already, you'll notice he's very big into Lois still, and she's like, he doesn't see what she sees in Superman. So he's like, he's 93 million miles away, and I'm right here in a heart that's true for you, Lois. And, yeah, and she's just very much like, all right.
Who's the chick in the sunglasses?
That, I think, is...
Is that the social media girl or whatever her name is? The one that shows up in the previews?
Yeah,
new movie?
I always forget names for the Daily Planet workers. It's Cat. I think it's Cat.
Cat Ding Dong.
No. Thank you, Mike. Hold on. Well, this...
Oh, my
I should also
God.
say-
No, you don't have to. It's not that important.
Nope, I am now. Well, I should also add, though, I haven't given credit when we get into it. All-Star Superman is written by Grant Morrison with art by Frank Quitely. And
Good job, gentlemen. You did a great job.
Issues 1 through 3. This is all in 2006. This came out January 2006.
Okay.
Is what we're looking at here. What I'm trying to see if it says who
That
is
art
here.
is definitely different.
Cat Grant. There
Cat
we
Grant?
go. Thank you. I knew I'd find it. Okay. So,
Her brother went down to Electric Avenue.
well, one thing I love when we get to it, you'll see, is I love the way Frank Quitely distinguishes between Superman and Clark Kent. So,
Okay.
But like Lois is just typing up already, like she's assuming like Superman's already gonna save it. We get Perry calls everybody in there while they're trying to figure that out, and he goes, "All right, everybody, tomorrow we're going to run like the biggest headline the planet's ever ran." And it's Luthor lied, and it talks about how he's like, we're going to expose him for what he did. He invested heavily in water, and then he's trying to sabotage, like, what was it? Damming more than 15 rivers. He's invested heavily in water, damming more than 15 rivers with the intent to profit from a global water shortage brought by tampering with the sun. Like, he's trying to, mess something up with this mission.
Wow.
He's doing, it's very much, in a way, just, like, very evil genius type schemes.
Yeah.
And he's like, and this is our headline tomorrow. Like, we're just blowing the doors wide open. Like, we're finally exposing Lex Luthor for everything to the public.
It's kind of messed up.
We get a shot of Lex, and this is where we find that he's like controlling everything like remotely. He has these goggles on and he's talking and he's like, I'm reaching critical mass. And like a general walks in and he's like, Lex, are you talking to yourself? And he's just like, fusion will occur in 30 seconds. And then he's like, excuse me, General, I'm remote controlling a weapon with a voice command sequence I designed. Like, and there's a time delay, so I have to time this exactly. And he just goes back to what he's doing. And the general's like, we released you from jail so you could work for your country, Luther. And Lex is just like, I'm sorry. I've tried to be a model citizen. I know I promised I wouldn't waste my intellect on kryptonite robots or elaborate super depth traps. I know that. And he like starts choking the general. And he's just like, but I couldn't. Like, I realized that 3 months ago I looked in the mirror and I had this nasty little like spiderweb lines around my eyes. And I realized something, that I was getting older and he wasn't, is what he kind of has him being like Superman.
Yeah.
We also get this intercut with the like time bomb, the genetic bomb that Lex has on the ship, seeing like I'm reaching critical mass, fusion will occur in 30, like the talking that he did before, but he's interrupted from finishing the line, oh, I cannot say that word, by Superman.
Yeah.
And so Superman comes in and goes, not if I can help it.
Cock blocker.
Yeah, he does. And so Superman does pull the bomb out. Like he tells him to cut the hatch and he pulls the bomb out away and kind of like throws him down, uses his like freeze ray is what I'm assuming here to like freeze him. And he just like goes into the sun. But the blast from it, as it says, they say that Superman is shielding them by extending his own bioelectric field to make sure that everything, like they stay safe as they kind of like fly back away from the sun.
Yeah.
Well, here's something that I like about this story that's a little bit different, and it's a complaint about a lot of people, or from the character about a lot of people, but I think they just take it for this story and they're like, yeah, sure, that is this. So since this is a thing, now you can, I'll explain in a second. So when they're back on Earth, Leo Quinton tells Superman, we've done extensive testing. You're now pushing against the equivalent of 200 quintillion tons, Superman. I'd say your strength has tripled at least, and we still haven't found an upper limit.
There's two things I don't like about this guy. One, the rainbow suit. You can't have a rainbow suit like that.
And the glasses?
The glasses that don't connect.
Yeah, I thought you'd say that.
I don't like that.
He's like, you've manifested one new superpower after another. They're telling him, like, you being that close to the sun has just increased your power so much.
Sure.
Everybody complains about you being overpowered. Well, now you are that overpowered, right? Nothing. Your power, like nothing bothers you anymore.
Who complains about Superman being overpowered?
A lot of people think that Superman's overpowered. They do.
Like real people or people in the comics?
No, real people. People in the comics. Real people do. And so,
He's not real, everybody.
I know, but
just telling you.
But what he tells him, he goes, but your trip to the sun exposed you to critical levels of like that radiation of raw energy, that apoptosis in your cells have begun, like your cells are starting to die. And essentially and Superman kind of looks at it and he can see like the fireworks under his skin, and they realize that he essentially has cancer in a way. Like him
too much
being
sun.
Overloaded with that much power is slowly now going to kill Superman, and there's nothing they can do about it. And so when he's like trying to figure out what he has, they essentially tell Superman like, yeah, it tripled all your powers, but you got about like a year left, really.
Wow.
He's like, we can try to figure out how to clone you in that time, or maybe like work on a way to fix you, but where we're at right now, like so much of that, exposure to it, like your cells are exploding inside you. Like that's what they say. He's like, Luther used like us in our mission to essentially kill you. Like he knew you would come to save us, and this was his final like gambit of you having that much radiation was going to be the final thing.
Wow, that's being like a bunch of chess moves ahead.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so they sit there and they go down and they walk through. I'm trying to remember why they walk through here. He has like bizarro workers. Leo Quintum's been able to, they lean heavily into a lot of like the Silver Age sci-fi stuff here and just like the ridiculousness in a fun way. Leo Quintum has like they've gone to all these different dimensions and stuff like that. So they've been to Bizarro World, and like the cloning that they're able to do, like the workers that he has at his like unit there are essentially like Bizarro workers. They don't talk or they just move around and they work, but they're Bizarro workers there. So I was just trying to explain what you're seeing there.
Love a good
or
Bizarro
passing,
worker.
yeah. And they've been working on like he's telling him like we knew the day would come, like you're not going to be alive forever. So we've been working on trying to find and create like another Superman to take your place. Like we knew that would happen. And so he hands like Superman
Again, bad idea.
Yeah, this distilled like he's like, we're building out our outpost of tomorrow right here. You've inspired all this, Superman. Like you've inspired us to help build like heroes to protect us for the future. And he gives Superman like the distilled kind of thing of his powers there. And he goes, and I promise that we'll find a way to save you too, or at least to like replace you. We have to. Like we have to have somebody like you for us. And Superman thanks him and he goes, all right, one last thing though. Don't tell anybody about this. At least not yet. I have something to do first.
He is one square-headed hump in this thing, isn't he?
He is. But you see,
Got big old square head.
Here's what I want to see. I want to show you. Look how super just big and brooding and just like, barrel chested Superman is. So now we get back to the Daily Planet as Superman's flying through and we get intercut and Perry White's waiting like, oh, if Clark Kent's not here in 5 seconds, he's fired, right?
5 seconds.
Yeah, and he's counting down 3, 2, and you see a kid trying to like save a dog running out in front of a truck. But, he shows up and he's like, hold the presses. And in that time he does. He trips over a bag. As he's getting up, he knocks Steve Lombard's coffee off that he has to like fumble with and set on the table. He has like papers wrapped around his foot and he straightens his tie as he slips on a sheet of paper and lands on his butt right there in front of Perry. And Perry's like, where the hell have you been, Kent? You see how oafish, like even the way he draws him compared to, and you'll see more probably on Wednesday's episode for sure. In issue 5 of this, and you'll notice it more how barrel chested and out like Superman was. Mm-hmm. The way Frank quietly, and I love this, it's subtle things like this draws Clark Kent as it's more slumped and he's like down more. And it's sense. Like, it's like body language things that he does. But we see the kid and the dog again. And like, when Perry asked him where he was, he's like, I'm sorry, I was working on my suntan, Chief. But we see that the dog had obviously been, or the kid and the dog had been saved from, I don't know if it shows it, but it was Superman, the blur that went by because he's flying up there in the corner. We also get everybody showing up to dismantle everything from Lex Luthor, talking about, they're like, Lex, we have a warrant here for your arrest on charges against attempted murder and also crimes against humanity. And he's like, thank God. It's for my own good, I realize that. Put me away, boys, before I do something really terrible to Superman. And that's where issue 1 ends, except we have an epilogue.
Oh.
So Clark and Lois are walking to, like, Clark's apartment. And as they're walking there, Lois is just like, can you believe he just, like, walked smiling into custody? Like, he can wind up in the electric chair, and he's just, like, so happy, like, talking about Lex being arrested. And Clark officially like walks into a guy who's walking, like he walks into him, and the guy's like, "Oh, you clumsy idiot!" But if you look behind him, there's like a car part that's fallen. Like Clark's accident. I do love this about this Superman too. He uses his oafishness of like, accidentally knocked into you to like save people from oncoming, things like that, which is kind of, and the guy's like, clumsy idiot, your boyfriend's an idiot. And Lois looks at him and goes, how dare you? He's not my idiot. And Clark's like, thanks, Lois. And he's, and so they walk around as they're walking into the apartment and she goes, I just don't know where my self-esteem would be without you is what he tells her. And she goes, alone in front of the television. Thanks for carrying all this stuff, Clark. And he's like, Lois, there's something I wanted to tell you. And she goes, is this about the trial coverage? Like, we've got all over this. I have to fly, Clark. And he's like, Lois, can you just please stop talking for a second? I really have something to show you. And that's about the time in this story. Lois doesn't know until right now that Clark is Superman.
Well, why do you do it on the street?
He did it right in front of their door. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm assuming there's
that's
nobody
my only
there.
thing. Is like out on the street. Just at least go in the building.
So Beat continued to issue 2 now, where can you guess the secret of Superman's forbidden room?
That's a terrible headline.
Yeah, but still. So Lois
I
now
guess.
knows. Yeah, Lois now knows that Superman and Clark Kent are the same. And we start, and this is what I love, is she's like having that realization. She's like, hold on, Clark Kent? Clark Kent? You've always been Clark Kent? Like, you know, like she's yelling at, and you see as we zoom out that it looks like she's in a car driving, but really she's sitting in the car, and Superman is just flying her. Like
You're
the car's
flying the
sitting
whole
on
car,
her.
yeah.
He goes, sorry, or Lois goes, sorry, I just don't believe you, Superman. And he takes her to the Fortress of Solitude here. Right? That's where he's taking her. And she is very, like, just does not believe him. And I love when they get there, as he's walking to the door, she goes, what happened to that big golden key, the one you used to use and you fly into too? Like, there's a lot of callbacks to things here too. And Superman goes, I didn't think it was big enough. And it just looks like it's a regular key. And he's like, this is my new Fortress of Solitude. Here's one thing that you might want to know, Mike. You know those Superman robots?
Yeah.
You want to know where they first appeared?
From here, I guess.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yep. It looks like a regular key that he goes and he opens.
Calls them that in the preview too, by the way.
Superman robots?
Superman robots.
I think he calls them Superman robots here. Well, here's what's funny too. We should have always known. Superman has always had an affinity for robots. Remember, as Superboy, he even had robots.
That is, whatever canon that is needs to be shut down.
But they walk in. Good afternoon, Superman. Can we be of assistance? And he's like, afternoon, robots. And he tells them to like bring in her car, and like he smelled like there's something wrong with the engine block. Lois is talking. He's like, so you and Batman, here's what I love these things, Mike, because our World's Finest Wednesdays have prepared us for some of these callbacks in weird ways. She goes, so you and Batman nixed the Toy Man's plan to turn Gotham City into his own personal Disneyland of death. How is he? And Superman's like, Batman? Great. You know Batman. And just like keeps walking. And she goes, Robin? And Superman's like, great kid. And I always wondered if I should take a partner. And
For an
she's like,
idiot.
yeah. And she goes, where's the thing? I'm trying to find where she goes. She tells the story. I know it's here. I thought it was at the beginning. She asked, she's like, well, what about the time, like, I saw Clark? Oh, that is later on. We find out about the key because she's like, oh, anybody can pick up that key. And he sets it down on the ground and he's like, all right, go ahead and try to pick up the key that he used to unlock the Fortress of Solitude. And she can't because he's made it out of like a dwarf star material. And it's literally millions of tons that nobody's going to be able to lift that key. So he just lifts it back up to show how kind of overpowered he
It's like
is.
Thor's hammer.
We get a scene of the Fortress of Solitude where it's very much like Batman's, you know, where he's collecting trophies, very
Yeah, he's got a
silvery.
giant coin. It's like Batman.
But it's the Joker coin. It's not that.
No, it's weird.
And there's the Bottle City of Kandor, the shrunk down city and stuff like that.
There's Lois Lane taking a shower.
There is. Well, she's getting changed. I'm trying to think. She goes around different things in the Fortress of Solitude, and they come across this room where he's getting a transmission from the future, and it's from a future Superman. And she's like, oh, you can like talk to the future. And he's like, well, not really. I just get like bits and pieces from there that I can like use to just log and keep track of. Like, this is really just like a capsule of history in a way. Like, you know, one day some future man or woman will open that door with that key, and when they do, I want them to know how it felt to live at the dawn of the superhero. Like, this is like, we're collecting everything here. It's more of like a museum. Like, that's what I view this place as. And they're walking through, and like he shows her, I think he has this little star, a baby star eater that he got down on one of his visits down there, and he has to feed it because she goes, well, why do you feed him? And he's like, you know, planet eater. That's a sun eater. Shit. There we go. He's a sun eater. And she goes, why do you feed it? And he goes, suns? What else? Like, it's just kind of funny little point.
I mean, you have to.
Yeah. And like, he like builds one real quick and just like throws it out there to him. They pass a room that she passes by and notices that a robot is working on something, and there's like a outline of Lois there.
No.
And Superman just comes in and he's like, this isn't what you think that's going on in here, but why don't you just stay out of this room until a little bit later? And she's like,
It's a little suspicious.
okay, sure, trust you. Right, okay. And he's like, come on with me. I'm going to show you this genetic library. Like, I use Brainiac Shrinking Ray to store all living samples of every threatened species into like one single drawer. She's like, okay, let's go do this. While they have dinner, that's the thing. They have dinner on the Titanic.
Yeah.
That he is like unearthed and just keeping in the Fortress of Solitude.
Sure.
With the like actual menu from the Titanic too. He's made this like a super like, hey, cool like evening. He picked the ingredients and prepared the meal himself. Like Superman's going all out on this. No way he did. He had the robots do it. He didn't do that. He had the robots do it. But no, he's a sweet guy.
Look in the trash for the Panda Express containers.
Lois does not believe him at all through this. And she goes, where is this? I wanted to find...
Well, honestly, she shouldn't.
Yeah, she goes...
And it's because it's so fantastical, and he's been lying to her this whole time.
Exactly. And she goes, Lois, please, I am Clark. Aren't you happy your suspicions were right all along? And she goes, why would I be happy? Anyway, what about the time Clark was a witness in the Boss Grimaldi trial, and you accompanied him everywhere as his bodyguard? And he goes...
That was Batman.
Huh?
That was Batman.
Yeah, that's what he goes. He goes, Batman stood in for me.
Oh, see?
It is. That's what I'm saying.
It's
like the one time, yeah. And then he's like, or the one time where Clark, what was it? Or where Clark presented you with the Metropolis Man of the Millennium Award. And he's like, a robot. So we get throwbacks to both of those. Like he would have a Superman robot and Batman would, you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love that.
That's very cool.
Anyway, so she's kind of like typing all this up and she's like questioning herself still like, should I be questioning Superman and all this? Like, or like believing him in all this, or should I be questioning things? Yeah, she's like, these new powers of his, like his new super intellect, like, what if something's like kind of changed about him actually? Like maybe something, like he talks about how when they're at dinner, he shows up in like this cape kind of thing. And she's like, what is this? Like, what are you wearing? He's like, oh, it's traditional Kryptonian formal wear. I made it myself. He's like, I taught myself how to sew. Like, I realized that there's some things like, you know, since I've been back from the sun, not only has my strength tripled, but my curiosity, my imagination, like my creativity. And so she's thinking like, with all these changes, maybe it's just kind of like changed him in general a bit.
Sure.
Like, how would I even know if something was off about him? If he was just telling me like, you know, and so she starts to question and she's like, and you know what would be worse? What if he's telling the truth? What if there really was some part of him that was like bumbling oaf Clark Kent? And I don't know if I could like live with that I was never able to like put that together. Like she's just sitting there like putting this all, and she goes, I have to be ready. I have to protect myself. I need a weapon. And she's like running around now kind of scared of Superman. She's worked herself kind of into a tizzy with all these thoughts. And she runs by and she sees like, how, you know, she looks into that room they were in earlier, and the Cal Kent, the Superman from like 8,000 something AD from the far future, isn't in there. It's now this Superman in bandages that just says, no, I'm the unknown Superman of 45,000 AD. It is terrible darkness in here, but ask 3 questions. And she goes, another Silver Age thing. I'm telling you, I love the Silver Aginess of this. She goes, will Superman and I ever marry and have children? That is the first thing she asks, because that is very much Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane thing of her to ask. And then she goes, I need to know. And he's like, the horrible answer is before you. And it's like going out, and he goes, now my question. And she's like, wait, what do you mean you didn't answer my question? You just kind of, but the robots kind of come around, and the question, who is J-Lo? Who is J-Lo? The robots come around like, Miss Lane, do you need help?
She's from the block.
She is. I can tell by the rocks that she's got. But the Superman robots come around. They're like, Miss Lane, do you need help? Like, do we need to get Superman for you? Miss Lane, and she's like, no, I'm fine. Please, I don't need help. And she's running from the robots then. Well, she finds this gun that's a kryptonite, like, ray gun. Yeah. And she goes, what if, you know, that was really him transformed into a monster so awful that he had to hide his face? Yeah. He's deformed now. What if he knows I know? Like, he saw the vision of his own future in there. whatever he becomes, like, what if he lurches out of this room? Like, what if he's turning into this monster? He's going to get me, kind of thing. She's like, Superman? Like, I'm alone in the Fortress of Solitude with him now. Like, I don't know what's here.
Yeah, what do you do if he turns bad?
She goes, and if he's brought me here to be the monster, or no, if she's brought me here to be the mother of a race of deformed superhuman horrors he has, like, we have to be stopped. I'm not going to be a part of this. His plan for this. It's like, God forgive me. I have to stop him. So she's like, Superman.
She's got
Superman. Are you there?
Gone off the deep end.
She kind of has, because there's a sign that says "Keep out Superman at work," and it turns off and it starts to open, and she has the gun fixed at him, and as soon as it opens, she shoots him with the kryptonite laser, and he's like, "Ah!" And she's like, "Superman, oh my God, what have I done?" Like, she kind of realizes that, I worked myself up into a tizzy and I've shot him,
right?
And he's just kind of like, interesting way to discover that I've kind of become immune to green kryptonite.
Oof.
He's like, they're just kind of tickled. Okay. But he goes, mind if I just take this from you, Lois? And he like takes it back from her so he doesn't get shot again. And he's like, I have to tell you, I'm sorry for all the secret. It was just, I was working on your birthday plan or your birthday gift and it wasn't there yet. See, here's what you saw. Like, and then like, essentially you almost spoiled my surprise, but I guess it's time for you now. These new exogenes I've been making allow a human being to duplicate my powers for 24 hours. So I was trying to keep it a little secret, like, that identity of mine, but this is for you. And he gives her this and he goes, happy birthday, Lois Lane.
Oh, wow.
So what he was doing, what she saw there, was he is like giving her his powers for a day for her birthday. And that takes us to our final issue then of part 1 here of All-Star Superman, which is we get both Superman and Superwoman, and then Lois Lane's gets to be Superwoman. Yeah, I think it should have been down kind of on the chest instead of more, but
I just don't like I don't like the font.
Oh, fair enough. So he tells her to open it, and she does, and what it is, this little vial, and he goes, my superpowers in liquid form, happy birthday, Lois. And she's like, all right, for the whole day, bring it on. Like, she's stoked. And so she downs the vial, and we cut to Metropolis. Yeah, no, that's not Lois. It's like and we see what happened to Lois. No, it's a giant monster. The next page, Kroll.
There's a bunch of monsters.
It's like they're like dinosaur monsters.
Yeah.
But they're tearing up Metropolis, and everybody else is on the roof. Jimmy, Steve Lombard, Cat Grant, they're all back up on the roof. And while they're there, he's like, we're waiting on, like, they're doing something for Lois's birthday.
Okay.
As while they're all up there waiting. And they're like, Clark was good to be like, call out sick and not be a part of this birthday thing. Like, we have to be up there. Like, they're just making jokes about Clark not being there.
Yeah, sure.
But they're watching, like, what's going on down there below. Another thing that we get, Mike, very Silver Agey, and I'm sure it has it more. Do you see on Jimmy's wrist, he has his...
He has a Superman detector or whatever.
Like he's pressed it. Something's going on. So he's paged Superman. You will see a lot of the ZZZ. He uses it all the time. So
I would hope that it doesn't go to anything.
No,
at this point, that Superman has just disconnected it.
No,
it just makes Jimmy feel good.
No, it does go to some, but it's brought up. It's brought up, and it's kind of funny. So Superman and Lois kind of come into Metropolis, and Superman like apologizes. He goes, "This is the last thing that I wanted on your birthday, a reptile invasion." And she's like, "Are you kidding me? I would have felt cheated if I got your powers and I didn't get to like,
yeah,
I mean,
you want to fight a monster."
Exactly. So she's coming into town and she's ready to do. Oh, she is stoked, right? Superman goes, where he goes, she goes, I'd feel cheated if I hadn't. And she goes, come on, show me how to do it. And he's like, may not have to. And that's where Kroll goes, I will eat your children. Or excuse me, you want a Kroll voice? Let me do this. Kroll will eat your children. There you go.
I like how it says children.
And then off screen we get how about I give
voice,
you, thank you.
Yeah,
I give you
job.
something to chew on, Ugly. And somebody picks him up and tosses him away. Still hungry? Look who that is. Do you know who that is, Mike?
I don't know who that is.
That'd be one Samson.
Samson? Like from the Bible?
Like from the Bible, Samson? Do you remember when we covered an issue of Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, that had Samson and Hercules in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're playing even off that.
Sleeps in a tree.
It's not necessarily Hercules. It's Atlas this time instead of Hercules.
Okay.
But Samson and Atlas are here to woo Lois Lane on her birthday.
Oh boy.
Right, to swoon her, or I guess to woo her would be better.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a train?
I didn't know. I hadn't heard a train about.
I was about to say forever.
Time.
That's why it threw me off. We are close to train tracks, and it just threw
we
my
used to
kind
hear
of
them all the friggin' time.
all the time. Anyway, so Atlas and Samson
Superman's in town.
have both shown up to stop this invasion, and also to be like, oh, we came here to show off for Lois. He's like, and they're both just like, Lois, you don't know how hard it is to find a single woman of like that's so super just like you. They're both enamored with her, just like you would think everybody would be with Lois Lane. And Superman's like, gentlemen, if you don't mind.
They're horny little gods.
They are. Yeah. He's like, gentlemen, if you don't mind, the lady's with me. And Atlas is like, oh, all I did was offer compliments. Is she not deserving of them? Like going back and forth. And
are they driving that car?
yeah, it's like a time traveling car.
Okay. Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Yeah, we just need a time traveling car. And he's like, how about we let the lady decide who she wants to spend the day with, Superman? It's really simple. I just propose a challenge of the ages. Each of us will
That's
do.
all. Just a challenge of the ages. That's all.
Just a challenge of the ages.
No big
I do
deal.
something good. You do something good. And we'll see. Yeah. But he's like, we'll each perform a super feat of strength in honor of Lois Lane.
We'll each show her our super feet.
We'll each of us will perform a super feat of strength in honor of Lois Lane. The most incredible feat wins her company. And granted, it's weird that Lois
Is this for real?
Yeah, and Lois is like, wins my company? And Atlas goes, single girls with brains, beauty, and super strength are rare in any century, Lois. We heroes are always willing to go the extra furlong in our quest for the perfect mate. And Samson goes, as you can see, I defeated Kroll, the dinosaur's son, on the eve of his war on Metropolis.
Yeah.
And Atlas goes,
good job.
And I subdued his army. There doesn't seem much left for you to do now, Superman. They're very much just there doesn't
nothing left for you to do now, Superman.
And Superman goes, okay, let's get these would-be conquerors back.
Jump down on my furlong.
Yeah, back to the center of the earth where they belong. And as they go back to the center of the earth, and they take him there, and Superman talks.
You just say these things like they're an actual thing sometimes. And then they go back to the center of the earth.
Here's what I need.
And then they perform a feat of strength for the ages.
Here's what I need you to do. I need you to be a mix of Monday and Wednesday mindsets.
I got you. Sure.
I
get it.
I need zaniness of Wednesday.
Okay.
But with some like solid, good tone,
Okay.
and like good
All
story beats for a Monday.
I mean, I'm never going to be a guy.
No. I know.
I'm never going to be a guy who knocks down dinosaur people coming from the middle of the earth. But
I totally get that.
Samson, that's maybe where I draw the line.
Samson is not the dinosaur people.
Not the dinosaur people. It's mostly Samson.
Yeah, but what he tells him,
It's his views on abortion that I can't get with.
No, get that. The king goes, my son will be punished for his crimes, although he says he speaks that he was kind of goaded into the attacks on Metropolis.
Get it? Goaded? Oh.
Yeah, but by Samson. He's like Samson kind of goaded him to attacking up there.
Yeah.
And Superman goes, okay, I'll go ahead and deal with the dinosaur Taranko. I thank you for this information. And as he goes back, Samson is talking to Lois, and Lois goes, the descendant of dinosaurs who escaped extinction by burrowing to the center of the earth?
No, the other one.
Look at this. But that's how they got down there.
Yeah.
But Samson wants to give her these radioactive crown jewels that I borrowed from the Ultra Sphinx back in the first dynasty of Atomhotep.
This went
Both
way off
century
the rails
BC.
for me.
Hold on. I know.
This went nuts.
It does for this one.
Okay.
It kind of comes back. It goes back and
I'm
forth
just saying,
between
this
the
one
two.
went nuts.
And Superman's impressive, but I'd watch out. 238 uranium is lethal. And Lois goes, yeah, it usually is, but you forget that I'm immune to all harm for 24 hours. I have all your powers, so I'll just enjoy wearing this for a bit. And Samson is just going on and on, telling her, and she goes, look, guys, I'm genuinely flattered, but you've gone a long way to kind of outdo Superman. And Samson goes, night on the town with Superman can never rival the date of 1,000 lifetimes with time-traveling Samson. And he's going on talking about how great he is. We'll dine al fresco on Triceratops Triceratops bourguignon in the twilight of the Cretaceous era, then in the evening with drinks at the crucifixion. Like,
Shut up, Samson.
we're gonna time travel everywhere and do all this. And Atlas is like, if I win your heart, I'll make the Titans kneel before you and harness 8 wild hippogriffs to draw your
Hippogriffs.
to draw our love carriage to take us. They're just going on and on all these things. And then and Atlas is like, and that's just day one. And Superman goes, Lois, can we talk? And he pulls him away. He's like, I don't get it, Lois. Like, I can't believe you're flirting with Samson and Atlas. And Lois goes, well, maybe I'm just teaching you a lesson, after that creepy and ridiculous impersonation of Clark Kent that you've started it all. And she kind of goes back there, and he's like, I wasn't impersonating. I am Clark. Like, Lois, why won't you believe me? And Superman, please, we both know that you'll win any contest these losers dream up anyway. It's my birthday. Come on, let's have some fun.
What the hell is going on in Metropolis if Lois Lane, investigative reporter, is not worried or is not surprised when any of these things happen?
She's
Here's
not
Atlas.
surprised.
Here's Samson.
She's like,
Lizard Boys.
At this point, well, it's her birthday too, so she's like, God, we're just gonna have fun. And so as he goes away, like, Superman stops Samson, and he's like, I don't like you very much, Samson. Like, wherever you go, trouble follows.
Yeah, I don't like him either.
Yeah, and also, like, what do I have to do to get you to keep your hands?
Cut his hair.
He's like, what do I have to do to keep your hands off my girl? And he goes, I'm a time traveler, Superman. According to my sources, she won't be your girl for much longer. And he pulls out a Daily Planet paper headline that says, Superman dead. Remember, nobody's supposed to know about him dying. And he goes, in fact, looks like she'll be needing a shoulder to cry on real soon. All's fair in love and war. And he just kind of like turns and walks away. Superman's a bit pissed now.
Samson's a dick.
He is. But as they get closer, like they're walking, all of a sudden the jewels start to glow more.
He looks like Troy Polamalu.
A little bit. And this giant like light starts to fill the room. And they're like, oh, what's going on? And about that time then.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Super Cat guy.
What it is, it's the Adam Hotep who they stole the jewels from to begin with, who has been chasing them down the entire time.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Yep. And he's like, oh, Lois, no. And what happens is that he essentially tells them, like, right now I have her in a suspension. Like, I'm just letting her here. She's in a state of quantum uncertainty. She's neither alive nor dead. All you have to do is answer me correctly. And if you do, like, you save her life. And if you don't, then she dies. This is essentially the price that's paid for you guys messing with my shit.
Wow.
So he's like, this is my judgment. And Superman looks at the two of them and he goes, you morons stole that necklace, didn't you? And they're like, we didn't mean to make this happen. Like, don't you understand? Like, we couldn't fight him, like, without your help. So, like, we kind of led him here. Like, yeah, we tricked you. He's been following us everywhere. We thought that you would help us be able to kill him and, like, be able to take care of him. And they're like, but I swear, like, with living Zeus, we didn't mean to harm Lois. Oh, we promise you we didn't do. And he's like, and I swear too, if she dies, both of you are in the Phantom Zone. He's like, and they're just like, they kind of hang their heads like, okay, we're wrong. If it comes to a fight, we'll help you fight. We promise. And he's like, we won't have to fight. And I know it. I'm going to get this right. Just, go ahead. Let me hear the question. And so it asks, what happens when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object? And he sits there and he thinks and he thinks and he's like, how about this? They surrender. And all we get is a response acceptable. And Lois had dropped back down. And Superman kind of goes to, like, comfort her. And as he's taking care of her, he's like, all right, let's go. We have a date at the bottom of the sea, remember? Like, let's just get away from here and these losers. And they're like, hold on, wait a minute. What about our contest? That was hardly what we call a feat of strength, Superman. And then Atlas is like, yeah, he's right. How about I wrestle you for her? Or that, the mighty man of steel, is he too coward for all that? And Samson goes, yeah, even the S on your back is yellow. And he turns around and he goes, okay, that's enough, both of you. And we cut to, they're on this island, like they're headed to, like, Atlantis for her lunch. And Superman has one on each hand, right? Like, he has them both. Well, no, I think she's there enjoying
No,
it.
I'm just saying it's her freaking birthday.
It
She's
is.
got to go put up with all this dick swinging.
Yeah, and Samson's just like, I only have one weakness, scissors. You can't. That's what he does say. He goes, I can't handle. And he's like struggling. They're both struggling. And Superman very calmly goes, you can quit anytime. Come on, fellas. Or would you like me to push?
Well, the other thing they don't know is that his strength is like doubled at this point.
Tripled. No, they don't.
Yeah.
And like the whole, like the rocks are like crumbling around them. Like one falls and hits Lois on the head, but she has power, so it just breaks in half. And like you see, like Superman's just admiring, like he's daydreaming about Lois there in the center with the two of them desperately trying to beat him. And we get as he snaps Samson's arm, and Samson goes, "My arm, take him, Atlas." And and Atlas goes, he's weakening, and we get another.
Superman's just whistling.
He is. And then we get a headline. Greek hero Atlas at Lois party. Atlas scores, but it's him in the hospital with 2 broken arms and a thumbs up. As Superman and Lois leave Atlantis. And she goes, what a party. You know, I've always had an unanswered question of my own. Everybody can guess what Lois Lane sees in you. But you know, why me, Superman? And he goes, well, I guess there has to be one thing I just can't help, Lois. You know, there's something I've wanted to do since the very first day we met. And he takes her to the moon.
Snaps her neck.
Yep. And he takes her to the moon. And there's a nice little moment between him and
lovely.
Lois. And then they're sitting on like top of her apartment building. And she's like, oh, my birthday gift's starting to wear off. Like I can't smell the trees in Canada anymore. Well, that's one of the things at the very beginning.
That's funny, though. That's cool.
Yeah, because she's like, oh, I can hear this. I can smell this.
No, I like
I can
that.
tell it's
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, and she goes, I can't see all the gorgeous radio like waves anymore, or the stars have stopped singing like they used to. But I'll never have to put up with that annoying Z of Jimmy Olsen's Super Watch as long as I live, and for that I'm grateful, is what she says there.
That's awesome.
She goes, like, I'm feel tired, like she's starting to get sleepy, and she thanks him again. And he's like, it was my pleasure, you know, I do other things besides being Superman. And she goes, yeah, you do a really good Clark Kent impersonation too. You had me fooled all along. You know, where is Clark? Where has he been today? And he's just like, Lois, like, come on. Like, you know, like, enough with this. But also, like, I have a question for you. And I've been meaning to ask you this for a long time, Lois. But things just kind of got in the way. And Lois, and she's fallen asleep already.
Dead out.
Yeah, she's dead out. And so he just carries her to her bed, and he tucks her in. And it's Sweet Dreams, Superwoman. And that's where we end issue 3 and part 1 of All-Star Superman.
That's pretty cool.
It is. Well,
again, Zeus and Dipshit were just a couple of idiots. So
yeah, no, I know. Here's the thing: it will pick up a bit more. Like we're just developing the story. We're setting, like we're writing this love letter to Superman. I did find out. Well, I'm not saying for later ones when we get into it, but things we get some more like Silver Age nods. We get some more reasoning behind things, and it's really good. It's just it's with 12 issues. It's also kind of like the last year of Superman. It's 12 labors in a way of Superman's story. Like, you know, each thing is a different kind of but it's about to kick up and get underway with the next couple issues. So on Wednesday we will have part 2, which will be issue 4, 5, and 6 that you go ahead and look forward to. As always, thank you guys for taking the time out to watch and listen. Thank you for all the comments. Just thank you so much for everything you do. Can't thank you enough. That's a lot of thank yous there, but thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. Doctor.
No, thank you. Doctor. Thank you. Anything else you want to add, Mike?
RogueMediaNetwork.com.
That'll work.
How about that?
All right. And until next time.
No, it's a cool story.
Yeah, no, thank you. I keep saying thank you.
No,
I don't
thank
know.
you.
Doctor. All right. Well, until next time, stay safe, everybody.
Hey, golly con, everybody.
Frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.